Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I have 33 babies to sort my way through. That's going to be both of these brooders. They've already been sorted by who was getting the earlier leg color. The darker legged birds, they're on the bottom. And the top layer has the birds whose legs weren't quite changing as quickly as the others. But that doesn't mean I've totally ruled out that top shelf. It just lets me know that they were slower to get that leg color. So I might make an exception for really good fleshing or how they're shaping up so far, and then I'll probably either put those results into a different pen or put some form of ID onto their leg if I mix them with the earlier leg color birds. I do have a small order of birds to try to find in this group, plus what I plan to keep longer, plus how many are going to end up as a viable dinner candidate. With every batch, I'm looking for the dinner birds. That way there's still a purpose for any birds that don't quite make the cut to carry over for longer grow time or to send on to a new flock. So I'm not going to go through bird by bird because with 33 of them to do, that's going to take too long to have you guys along for the whole journey. So I'm going to pull out a couple of standout birds and talk about them for a little bit. And then I'll show you what the results were after going through 33 as hatched and only separated so far by leg color birds, so that you can start to get an idea of what you could expect when you're sorting. Because there's going to be calls in every flock. It doesn't matter how you started, where they came from, who did the breeding before you. It's still going to be a thing that you have to keep going through each and every generation. It does not stop. I had thought previously when I was first getting started that once you had good birds, they would just breed themselves forward and you would only ever have good birds. That's not true. Don't let anybody tell you any different. The work of it, it just keeps going and going. So let me go ahead and get these separated by gender, and then we'll start going through them, and I will let you guys know the highlights. So here's the results of the pale-legged pullets, the very first group I did. We found 4 dinner quality pullets. That's because they had the shortest keel, the least amount of fleshing, the palest leg color, and the tightest bone spacing. And I'm basing that off of their peers. I could certainly grow them out longer and see if anything changes, but I have more interest in doing that from the birds who develop the darker leg color sooner. So this group, they measured out pretty decent. They weren't too awful. Their leg color was darker than average in the group. They're just slower than the other group I have to do still. But based on their bone spacing and the feel of their fleshing, these girls are going to be perfectly serviceable layers, but they don't necessarily have the dual purpose traits that I'm after. They are going to be good laying stock, but I'm not going to necessarily call them breeding quality because they just don't have that other part of the table traits. This little pale-legged girl had the best fleshing, the best feel, the best bone spacing, and that's why she's over here by herself so that we can keep track of who had the best body. And right now at 5 weeks old, probably just coming up on 5 weeks, this one had the best feel, even though they all look the same. Relatively, once you got the hands in there, one dual purpose, fleshy future layer. Probably not breeding quality, but it depends on what ingredients you're after when you're doing your breeding selection, because I can certainly grow her more and see how she matures and then find the compatible male that would suit her best to help where she's weakest. So already right out of the gate, I know that her future boy, if she ever got one, he's going to need some seriously dark, early maturing leg color, which I might find in the next group I'm about to do. We'll see. Well, actually, next I need to do the boys from the pale-legged group. So let me get through them and see how they get filtered into these categories. I bet most of them are going to end up in the dinner spot. But we'll find out. I'm going to try going through the pale-legged boy assortment with you guys. Oh, that one already feels chunky. I'm not weighing them. I'm going by feel this time. I've got a lot to do today. His head's the right size. Feet are too pale, but we already knew that. More importantly, that keel bone length. I'm going to find the beginning, run my finger down it. Use my thumb to find the back of the keel. Mark my finger and look at it. He's behind that second knuckle. That's good for this age at coming up on 5 weeks old. He has more substance than all of those pullets I just went through. Bone spacing was good there. That was 2 fingers. Oh dang, he's generous. End of the keel, right there where my pinky is, up to those pelvic bones. 4 fingers fit. I'm gonna put him with that pullet that was by herself. Because this is, if you weren't worried about leg color, that's got utility all over it in the dual purpose frame. Yeah, I'm gonna put him with her. Just so we can see results. I'm gonna change the organization probably, but for the educational benefits, I'll show you what I'm finding in here. Alright, who's next? You feel different already. More narrow. Doesn't have the same roundness that the other one had. Head is smaller, longer. Foot color is darker. Keel is short. We'll keep going though. 1.5 fingers wide between the pelvic bones. 3 fingers for the distance from the end of the keel up to the pelvic bones. But little and not that meaty. That's dinner pen. It's pretty imperative that the boys get everything needed. This is chunky. That feels better. Bigger, wider head, shorter, stouter beak. Foot color's pale but blue. Well, hold still. Vigor's better. Long enough in the keel for this age. Finger and a half wide between the pelvic bones. 3 fingers. I want to put this guy in the middle. He's not too bad, actually. Not as chunky, but he may be serviceable. I kind of like him. How many do we have in here? Not too many. Narrow. I can feel it from the get-go as soon as he was in hand. Comb's gonna get wonky. Let me bring him up so you can see that. It's already doing weird things. Tight back end, not even 1 finger. 3 for the distance, but the pin bones to each other, that's too tight. Alright, dinner pen. Who's next? Well, you feel chunky. That's better. Okay, in the head. Hold on. That counts. Tail on the leg. Hold on, we gotta check your spacing. Almost 2 fingers. Easy 3. I'm gonna put you in the middle. Not too bad. That feels chunky. Oh yeah, that's better. The hairs are fleshing. That's what I've been looking for. Pale in the foot. I know. You're trying to tell me all about your vigor and how strong you are. But you're still just a little guy. Not bad there. Finger and a half. Easy 3. I'll put you in the middle. Last one. A little narrow. Good vigor. Not that meaty. A little small in the head, long and narrow in the beak. Long in the keel though. That was way back here. So that's probably going to be that long, narrow, tall body style that may flesh in later. Just not early. 3 fingers. It's just not enough fleshing though. That's dinner pen. Alright, so we're done with all of the late blooming on the leg color birds. We found a pair with both excellent characteristics for dual purpose. We added 2 boys in with the middle of the run pullets. And we added to our dinner collection. I also wanted to point out that my supervisor is helping. Overseeing things. He flew up there on his own. But he just wants to know what I'm doing. Alright, moving on to who got the darker leg color earlier. And I'm hoping for better results out of that group. But we'll see. We're into the dark-legged pullets now. I'm gonna go ahead and film these girls since in theory they're gonna be the better ones. This one feels a little small and a little narrow. Even 2 fingers on the keel. There's fleshing here, but it's not that pronounced. I'm gonna go ahead and call her average. Finger and a half. Full 3 fingers. Yeah, this one seems pretty average, so she's gonna go into the middle pen. One of the reasons I'm not doing weights this time is because the feel is more important. This one feels a lot rounder. There's a lot more fleshing down the keel. Foot color is coming in nice. She has a delicate feel, but like a fleshy feel. Longer in the keel than the last one. Ooh, 2 fingers in between the pelvic bones. Easy 3 for the distance from the keel to the pelvic bones. She's probably going to turn out fairly accurate, so I'm going to put her in the better than average group. I moved out the better pair and the middle group, but I left the dinner birds in the first position of the sort cage because I'm going to add to it, and keeping them organized doesn't really matter once I've given them that designation. This one has a good chunk factor. A lot more width. Good leg color. Good vigor too. She's giving me grief. I know. I know. I'm using the wrong finger. Up to that knuckle, that's good. Almost 2 full fingers. 3 and a smidge. Better than average. Well, this is already going better than that first group. Spoke too soon. Little, narrow, very light. Not much meat. Short in the keel. Chatty, not giving me much grief. 1 finger between the pelvic bones, 3 fingers below average. Dinner pen. You're alright, you got plenty of friends in there. Better width. Better fleshing. Yeah, that's gonna fill in pretty decent. 2 fingers. 3 fingers. Good length to the keel. But the full hand feel isn't quite there, so I'm going to go ahead and label this one as average. And when I say average, I mean that for what this flock produces. Because this is what I see every day. I don't know what other flocks are up to. I don't know what you guys are doing. So when I say average, that is for this genetic pool. Find the beginning of our keel, come down, right there at that second knuckle. 1.5 fingers, 3 fingers. Average. Oh goodness, are you actually a boy? Wow, you're big. Oh, you're squatting already. My goodness. That's a handful. That is the best fleshing so far. That's nice. Now see, the keel runs right down the middle right here. And I'm interested in how full and how meaty it feels on either side, as well as following it down the length. Because sometimes you'll get a lot of meat right here in the front and then it kind of disappears as you go down. You want it to be consistently full down the length. That's a pullet. Nice. What's your bone spacing like? 2 fingers. 3 fingers. Above average. Yeah, and that one makes me happy. Oh, and I'm out of birds. Time for the boys. We found 3 above average pullets. I'm gonna keep and grow those for me. It's what this is all about. I'm refilling my own flock first. We found 3 that are nice solid average. And we found some more to put in the dinner pen. So now we're gonna go through the boys. See what we find there. And my supervisor is still ever watchful. He's such a good boy for a Canadian guy. Last group, the dark-legged boys. What are we gonna find in here? That's a nice width. That's a nice chunk factor. I know, you don't like it. Well, good fleshing. Barely enough keel length for the size. So the balance of shape matters. And this one might come up a little bit short, but with a lot of width. And the width and the fleshing, I can't really argue with. Comb looks real promising so far. What's your bone spacing like? 2 fingers. That's nice for a boy. Solid 3 for the distance. Better than average for the group based on what we've seen so far. I see a lot of promise in this one, so I'm going to put him in the special pen. Alright, who's next? Smaller. Narrower. Stouter in the beak, shorter in the head. Shorter in the keel, too. Didn't quite get past that second knuckle. Finger and a half. 3 fingers. For a male, there's really not much fleshing here, so I'm going to go ahead and put this one as dinner pen. There's just not enough, and that matters. Developmentally, he was behind the others too, and you'll see what I mean as we get through this batch. This one's a lot more on par with the first bird. There's a lot more here. There's good width, there's good length, there's good bulk. Oh yeah, that's better. Better vigor too. Past the knuckle. Longer. Let me see your head. Developmentally stronger. 4, maybe 5 good spikes coming on the comb. Ooh, 2 fingers. Solid 3 fingers. Good leg color. Above average for the group. More delicate in the bone. I can feel it. Once you're familiar with what the skeleton feels like and what you're looking for, you can notice the changes in the substance and the overall feel of the bird. I like this one's vigor too. Nice and long in the keel. Hey, would you quit? Finger and a half. 3. Nice so far. I like this one a lot too. Well, this is going well. Excellent width. Nice fleshing. I know. Well, better than a handful. Short in the keel. Compared to the piers, comb's gonna get ridiculous. Too much activity in that comb at such an early age. Just one finger. Dirty butt, not the same condition. 3 fingers. This is dinner pen. That one's gonna fill in a shrink bag really well though. Holy cow, what are you doing? That's good. Nice width, nice feel. Nice fleshing all the way down. Long in the keel compared to the piers. Good vigor, giving me grief. He's gonna come up with a conjoined spike. And I've gotta be fairly no nonsense on that this year. Two fingers wide. 3 fingers deep. I'm gonna put him in the middle as average. But not terrible. Not from the utility standpoint. That's the first boy we put in the average pile. As far as this dark-legged group. Smaller than the others. Good front fleshing, but it kind of loses it midway down the keel. Short in the keel, right there at the line of the knuckle. And it's all about comparing them to their peers. This is bird against bird. This one might actually be a pullet though. I think my first guess was wrong. There's wattles. This one's probably a slow developing male. Just 1 finger wide. Two and 3/4. This is dinner pen. I do want the birds to show me their gender fairly early, before 5 weeks or right at that 5-week point. So watching them as they develop through this phase and sorting them accordingly, that helps me select off of that too. Oh, you are gonna be meaty as all get out. Wow. You have way more substance than frame. If you guys know what that means. Average keel length, but exceptional fleshing. 2 fingers. 3 fingers. What's your comb doing? Nothing conjoined. Promising. Ooh. Better than average. Last one, last one. Oh, hey, come here. You're not fighting me too much. You're being kind of pathetic. Definitely a boy. Slow developing. Meaty. Average in the keel. Finger and a half. 3 fingers. But you're so lackluster. You're so passive. You don't even care. You talk about it too much. You're a dinner pen for being below average. But you're gonna fill the shrink bag nice. There's not enough vigor here. Alright, let me go ahead and put this one in the dinner pen. I'll show you the results of the dark-legged group. Alright, so out of the 33 total birds we sorted, we found 12 who were behind everyone else and got labeled as dinner pen birds. So that's a dozen right off the bat that we can bank on going into the freezer. I found a quad, 3 females and a male for the average birds out of the dark-legged group. But what has me excited is I found this pile of boys and a couple of females for the above average performers. And that's their general shape so far, the feel of their fleshing, their bone spacing, their coloring so far, the comb development so far. So this group, over time, I may find things about them that I don't really care for, but right now, these are the rock stars of the group. So these are going to go into their own space so I can monitor growth from here. These guys, I'm pretty confident I won't need them, but I'm going to go ahead and grow them a little bit longer just to make sure, because sometimes an average youngster grows up to be a better adult bird. But I'm pretty confident with the dinner decisions, and having this dozen out of the group is going to be several meals. So as far as the above average pair from the pale-legged group, I stuck them down here on the bottom. And they're actually not too pale in the leg compared to their peers, but I do want to know that they were a late bloomer in that. So I'm going to put a band on their leg and put them over with the other above average birds, and then I will have a form of ID on there to let me know which ones were the slackers on early leg color. My supervisor is still hanging out. I've got a plan for that bird. You'll see. So here's another sort day completed. I'm going to get everybody put back where they go. I'm cleaning out all the brooders, putting them back in smaller numbers so I can increase the square footage available per bird so they can keep optimizing their growth without the stress of being overcrowded. Definitely don't want to do that to your birds, no matter what kind they are. More space, the better. So if you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe so I can keep taking you down this journey of what's involved in breeding your own birds in a sustainable way within that dual purpose category. More on this later.